Hi guys, welcome back to Flora Fun and Food. My name is Lauren. In this video, I'm going to give you another garden tour update. A few things have changed since my last update video. I unfortunately lost some seedlings that I had started, weeks and weeks and weeks before the season started because I put them out, didn't harden them off, and lost them. So that's my fault. I'm too impatient, but I've learned my lesson. And so in the meantime, I started growing some more seeds in my seed starting area, which I will show you someday, I'm sure. And then I've also bought some full grown or, very mature plants from nurseries that were on sale. I've moved some things around. I've taken some things out. I've added some new things. So I'm sure it looks slightly different from the last time you saw it. Things have also grown tremendously. Some things haven't grown at all. So stick around and see some of the changes that have happened around here. So we have finally finished pouring our ant mixture into every single pot. So I figured I might as well give you the latest garden update. So over here, I've got my peas growing up this cattle panel here. My weed barrels, just clover and acorns and all this stuff, are doing great. The weeds are fantastic. I haven't planted anything in here yet because I was going to amend the soil of these four. These are the pots I've had the longest. I used them for years, but the soil is pretty dense and full of clay, so I decided to fix it and dump it out and redo it, and I didn't. So I just ended up planting cabbage in a couple of them, and they're actually doing better than the cabbage I planted somewhere else. So maybe I need to take the weeds out of here and just go ahead and plant something. Moving on though, we have broccoli and cauliflower, and they're doing pretty well. These are the bigger ones here I started more recently actually than the smaller ones. Like I started these from seed inside, and they're just doing a little bit better. So I'm not sure what was different. Here, the kale, not very kale-y. You can see all the ant stuff in here, but that's doing something. Okay, Swiss chard, same deal. Really not a whole lot going on. I've never really grown lettuces or brassicas like cauliflower and broccoli and stuff like that, so this is kind of an experimental year. My spinach, same thing, not doing great. Lettuce and arugula, not doing great. The bok choy though is doing something. There's some little bok choy in there. And then here are the cabbage that are in the new soil I have. And they were bigger when I planted them than the ones over there, and they're doing worse. So it must like the thicker, denser soil. Maybe it holds on to moisture longer. Haven't really figured it out yet, but we'll just keep trying. Here on the end, I've got two different types of bush beans. These are just green bush beans, and these are yellow wax bush beans. They're not doing wonderfully, but they're hanging in there. Moving over to the main garden, I have my two types of blueberry. I have Jersey blueberry and early blue. And per a friend, per her advice, I have been very reluctantly picking the berries off that form. You can kind of see where I've pinched the tops off, because really, berry plants will do better overwintering if you really make sure that their root system's established during the growing season. Since these were new to me and they're new to these buckets, I heeded her advice. It kills me every time I do it, but I take off the berries so that the plant can put more energy into root production. Moving over here, I have my royalty raspberries. They're just my red raspberries. Then here I have a red gooseberry bush. I actually do have one gorgeous, let me see if you can see it, a gorgeous gooseberry. Look at that. It's the only one on the plant, but it's staying for now. I need to come in and weed some things. So it's doing great. My black raspberry bush versus my blackberry bush, they are different. Black raspberries don't have the seeds or the kind of the middle core like blackberries do. So they look very similar, but the texture is very different. Over here I have golden raspberries. They're gonna be so cool. I'm so excited to try those. Red currant berries, this bush is doing phenomenally. And then over here I've got a bunch of different types of strawberries, and you can already see I haven't pulled these off because they're so pretty. I'm leaving them on. We're gonna get some strawberries, so we'll just hope for the best. And look at this. Oh my gosh, it's starting to turn red. That might be the first strawberry of the season. Over here, we've got sunflowers that are finally perking up. They were not doing great, but they're coming back. I have some Tigridia that are, if I remember right, they're kind of like a purple thistle looking flower. I may have it mixed up with Eryngium, but I'll have to look and remember. Look at these. My gladiolus are huge. I cannot wait for them to flower so that I can have fresh cut bouquets. Oh, I'm so excited. Moving on, I've got some Eryngium again. I can't remember if that's the one I'm thinking of that's like a purple thistle looking thing, but we'll see. Then I've got some red hot pokers, and I don't remember what that one was, and my tags have been sun bleached, so I can't really read them, so it'll be a surprise. Over here, I've got more strawberries. I found these super pretty hot pink and kind of light pink flowers. This one's already starting to get fruit, and so is this one. Look at all these. So I just had to get them because the flowers weren't white and they were just something different. Over here, I have some habaneros. So it's these Papa Joe's brand habaneros, and they are already getting peppers. This one is kind of just like the normal habanero that you think of, so I'm trying to see if they're any different. These showed more of a red color on the tag, and these were the orange, so we're gonna see what happens. Moving along, I have my dahlias, which are doing great. Have all kinds of dahlias. This bucket of dahlias didn't do anything. These were those mystery starts that I couldn't remember what I had put there. Now thinking back, I may have poured a whole box of zinnia seeds in here, so I might be getting some zinnias. This is my yard-long beans, so that means that the bean pods are like 3 feet long. They're gonna be so cool. My allium, haven't done anything. You're really supposed to plant those in the fall. I didn't. I just wanted to see what would happen. They might come back, they might not. If not, that's okay. Over here I have bleeding heart, which hasn't come up, and some scabiosa. In the middle of all these tomatoes, I do have a lavender plant, and I believe these are early girl tomatoes. More tomatoes over here, and some hollyhocks. And then I ended up moving a bunch of my petunias out of the buckets and into this tree because I needed more room for veggies, and they seem to be loving it up here. The sprinkler right there is able to reach and water them, so I think they're gonna be just fine. Plus, it's really pretty. Over here, I have my 2 pink lemons trees, and they have variegated leaves, which are just, oh, look how pretty that is. My Meyer lemon tree, all of the flowers have now lost their petals, and they're starting to form the fruit. So I might actually get some lemons. We will see. My kumquat tree and my Persian lime tree really haven't done a whole lot, but they're still looking green and healthy. Moving along, I have corn in both of these buckets. Then I mixed corn and asparagus together there, and corn and leeks there. Over here I have horseradish, rhubarb, kohlrabi, and then some different, I've got some candy cane peppers, which these are also variegated leaves, which means they have white on them. And look, they're already starting to fruit. So they're gonna be cool. They're kind of a stripy pepper. And then I have just this random salsarific pepper hanging out over here. And look, it already has peppers too. And then just my kohlrabi in the middle. Over here I had some green onions planted. They haven't really done anything, but the asparagus is coming up. Over here I have some cayenne and some just random extra things. I had a death spiral seed, I think a jalapeno. This was just kind of my leftover bucket. Over here I've got a very, very sad nasturtium and a couple of tomatoes and some grass that just will not stop. Over here I have shishito peppers, and look, it's fruiting. I have peppers already. They're so exciting. So shishito's there, More tomatoes there. Both of these buckets have mammoth jalapenos. Oh no, I'm just sorry. I messed up. This one has mammoth jalapenos, and this one has orange, yellow, and purple bell peppers. So, haven't seen much from them yet, but they look healthy. More, let's see, these are cayenne peppers all in this bucket. And then some, what does that say? Oh, Rutgers. I have Rutger tomatoes. These are cherry pick peppers, and they kind of look like, you know, like a cherry. However, cherry hot look almost the same, but they are a lot spicier, and I started these from seed. They were actually really hard to find, but they are my favorite. I've grown them before, and oh my gosh, they're so good. So they look very similar, so I'll have to be very careful when I pick them to know which one is spicy and which one is sweet. Over here, another sad nasturtium. I don't know what's wrong. It looks dried out, but it's literally, look, it's right next to the sprinkler, and it gets so much water, but who knows. But I have zucchini in there with it. My radishes. Look at my radishes. They're so cute. Now, it is a little hot for radishes. I don't know if you can see here, but they do split when they get too hot, but they still taste fine, so I'm just letting them grow. I have eggplants trying their best in here. Zucchini again. Some winter squash. All of these also have nasturtiums mixed in that I grew from seed, so they'll just trail up these arches and just... nasturtiums are really cool because they're sacrificial plants, which means the bugs prefer the nasturtiums over your crops. But nasturtium flowers, the green seeds, and the leaves are all edible, and they taste like kind of a sweeter radish. They're really, really good. Back to here, we've got basil and cilantro doing pretty well. However, the chives and parsley, not so much. The peppermint that's supposed to be here hasn't done anything, but the thyme looks good. The dill is coming up, so it's doing something. We've got our summer squash here on the end, and then we've got some cucumbers. I believe these two are burpless cucumbers, and this one is a lemon cucumber, which is supposed to taste like kind of a citrusy lemon, or a citrusy cucumber. Over here I have my Boule d'Or melons, which kind of look like a golden honeydew, I think, if I remember right. Then I have some summer squash here and here and here. They're crookneck and straight neck varieties. And again, the back row is just kind of my extras that I had. So I've got my extra, I think that's zucchini back there. Nope, that's a pumpkin, because I had pumpkin here and I had pumpkin there. So pumpkins. Then I have acorn squash and spaghetti squash. Then I have more zucchini. So if anybody likes zucchini, you know where to come to get some. Watermelon here on the end, and again, more nasturtiums. And then my patty pan squash. They're these cute little fat squashes. And then over here, we have just our whole section of tomatoes. Now I have a bunch of different varieties. I have Rutgers, I have Celebrity, I have Early Girl, I have Roma, I have, did I already say Jetstar? I have all different types of tomatoes here, and I gave them all cages and a panel to climb up because there are two different kinds of tomatoes. There's determinate, which means they're kind of more of a bushy variety, and their height and fruit amount is kind of already determined. Then there's indeterminate, which vine indeterminately, like they just keep going, and they like to climb up a lot, and they can produce more fruit, but you do have to kind of do a little bit more care with them because they need something to climb on. This middle one is not tomatoes. This is actually tomatillos, and I've got little flowers coming on there, so hopefully I'll have some nice green tomatillos soon. Oh my gosh, and I just realized I never planted these. I grew these from seed, and they're just hanging out in their nursery pots, so I need to do that. And again, some of these tomatoes, like these were the 25-cent ones that I got from GrassPad. They look a little sad. I think they had some cold damage, but I'm just trying it out. There are way too many tomato plants in here to be sustainable, but I'm just letting them grow, and then I will determine kind of which ones are the healthiest, and then I'll pluck out kind of the weaker ones and compost those. So these all won't grow this summer. I'm just letting them kind of do their thing so I can see which ones are going to be more viable. Also, I have marigolds everywhere. You may have seen that. Marigolds are really good about deterring pests. They just, like aphids and things like that, don't like the smell of marigolds, or it can confuse the pests. So they won't come and attack your plants. So I have, I have a million marigolds everywhere. Over here, finally, last section here, I've got some peas that are a little sunburned, and same with the beans, but they're doing okay. Now, the carrots and the parsnips, they have not done much since the last update. Like, they're green, but they are not doing a whole lot. Same with the parsnips. My onions look great though. Look at these onions. And then my garlic, it's looking awesome. And then this nasturtium is starting to look sad. It was beautiful like a week ago. I should have filmed it, but I put it on this super pretty trellis I got off of Amazon, and it just looked so good. So I hope it reseeds itself and comes back. And then over here I have my Yukon Gold potatoes. I planted potatoes in this one as well, but nothing came up, so I put these hot peppers there instead and just kind of left room in the middle there for potatoes if they come up. So, as I was finishing the container garden portion of the tour, my camera turned off and my phone gave me this warning telling me that the temperature outside was too high to use the camera, and I actually had to wait for my phone to cool down before I could continue. So, that is how hot it is outside. It says 92, but because of the humidity, it says it feels like 103. So it's very, very hot today. So after my camera cooled down, I was able to film the last portion of the tour, which is just the deck, which has a bunch of herbs. So let's see those. We have chives. Here are some seeds some seed starts I'm still hardening off. In the wine barrel there, I've got basil. I have different kinds of parsley on the end, some boxwood basil or box basil, I can't remember, lemon basil, regular sweet basil. Some of it's already bolting, which means flowering. So that's not great because then it stops growing and it's like going to seed. So I have some stevia here, which is really cool. It's super sweet. Dill, which is also going to seed. You can see the flowers starting, but dill flowers attract pollinators, so I'm not too worried, and I don't really love dill, so not too bummed. My cilantro, however, I love cilantro, and it is already bolting. Look at all these flowers. And once cilantro bolts, I find that it tastes kind of bitter, and so I don't like it after it bolts. So I'm letting it just go to seed. It'll reseed itself. And then in this empty space here, I just planted some, let me get it here, slow bolting cilantro. So maybe I'll have better luck with that. Moving on, the last bed has some green onions. You can kind of see them there and there and there. And then just some nasturtium. Below the deck, I do have some old metal wash tubs that I've planted some perennial herbs in. So things like oregano and lavender and rosemary and mint and some sage, things like that. That will supposedly come back every year. I don't have great luck with lavender or rosemary coming back. I also have some garlic chives right there and right there. Nothing in this one yet, so it's open for endless possibilities. But yeah, these, I think once they get established, will be really pretty here. My parents have some wash tubs that are on big tall stands that they said I could have. So I may end up moving this compost bin, ignore my wagon, and putting those there just so that I kind of have a whole deck of herbs. They seem to do pretty well in this shaded area, and it's easy access for me to use from the kitchen because it's right outside my door. So thanks for watching. I hope you had fun. You hope you learned something. That concludes our garden tour update. Thanks, guys.